Good morning, my friends. It is almost Friday. It is almost Turkey Day. Almost. I was watching, as I was getting the show ready, the Today Show was on in the background. I just love me some Al Roker. He's never stirred me. He's never steered me wrong. So they had good old Martha Stewart on there, Bobby Flay, and these people. I don't know if you guys saw it. They were competing. This guy had a cranberry bacon cheeseburger. I can't get it out of my head. It looked amazing. Who did I miss at the pre-party? I see Shannon Vices is in here. Snow. Hey, just me. Nana Banana. Jules got away from the propane man long enough to join us. Thank you for being here, Jules. We love you. Rexy said, yuck. Hey, Tiffany, what's up, girlfriend? Hello, Joy. Woo! Shannon read my mind. I cannot believe it's been a year, and what a crazy year it's been. Some people say, no way could Bushy have done this himself. Some say, yeah, he could. Yeah, it's easy. Now, those people kind of scare me when they say it's so easy to commit a massacre like this, but to each their own. Some people say he didn't do it at all. I don't know. But one thing we can all agree on is that up until an arrest was made, pretty much everybody had it wrong. Okay? Everybody had it wrong. Seems to me, in retrospect, that the police were definitely making the right moves. They just weren't telling us. Now, as you remember, my dumbass kept saying, listen, I'm not ruling out a woman doing this because you know how crazy bitches can be. Well, I had the whole wrong gender, everyone. But you're in good hands. Don't worry about it. You're in good hands. Let's take a second and tell everybody happy Thursday. Welcome, welcome. Again, I cannot believe it's been a year. And the legal riffraff, the back and forth between the defense and the state, and then we have the good old handy-dandy FBI involved, has made it quite a mess. But in the midst of the mess, there are 4 innocent college students, young adults, however, had their lives in front of them, and it was senseless. Senseless. So whether he targeted the house, as some would say, or he truly had this infatuation with Maddie and was caught off guard by Kaylee, then Ethan, then Xana, it was senseless all the way around. We've also learned a lot about grieving in the last year because you have 4 families that are all handling the grief process in a different way. And you know what? Can't blame them. Can't blame them. I was going to do this show on Monday, but as you know, everything got turned upside down because we've had a death in our family. So I know firsthand, I should have remembered from before, because it's not like it's the first time we've had a death in the family. People handle these things different. Baby Kisses saying it's a crime of passion is BS in my books. Wasn't that the shits when the mayor said this is a crime of passion? Yeah, we're going to go through some old stuff. You know how Replay Queen does, to kind of refresh in our memory of just how crazy it was. I really thought things would calm down once an arrest was made. But it just seemed to get a little wilder. A little wilder. Angie Baby said, "How's Greg?" He's hanging in there. He has good, good moments and bad moments. Sometimes he's laughing about something with his dad. Sometimes he's mad. Sometimes he's crying, but we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. I invited our good friend Titanium Built to come up and visit with us. She has done amazing work with this case. I love her content, love her channel. As you know, I'm a big fan of Jewels of All Trade. She's done a great job with this too. So without further ado, before we get to the show, let's have a big CLL welcome to our friend Titanium Built. Titanium, I'm so glad you're back. How's it going, girlfriend?
It's going good. How are you?
Pretty good. Have you gotten all of your Thanksgiving planned?
No, not even started. Every year what happens is my brother, we go there every year, but he will not tell me anything that's going on until the day before. He'll give me the phone call and he'll say, "Hey, you guys still coming for Thanksgiving?" So
You're
it's like
every year, what do you want me to bring? Right now, at this point, I bring plastic forks and ice because you only gave me a day.
Exactly. That's my brother for you. So he does that every year. So I'm just waiting on the phone call. But I'm so sorry to hear about Greg's mom. That's so sad. I saw that you posted about that.
It wasn't his mom. It was his dad.
Oh, was his mom? Oh, it was his dad. I thought it was his mom. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, he wouldn't be that upset if it was his mom, but that's between you and me and the 180 people that are in here.
Oh, wow, man, so that's terrible.
Think about the roller coaster of craziness we've gone through with this case.
It's been I was looking actually at my old videos. That's why I was like, oh, I got to come up there because you were talking about how you were blaming everybody, kind of like, because we didn't have a suspect. We were all like wondering who could have done this. So I went back to my old videos. I went back to like my first video that I ever did just to see where my mind was. And I guess I was new, to true crime. And I pulled up a New York Times article and it said that they were looking for whoever Jack Showalter was. They were looking to see like, who is that guy? And I'm like, that's where it started. Like, that's where the seed got planted in our minds, even to, because like those articles were coming out and stuff. So it's been a crazy ride. It seems like we're going back around again. Like they're starting the stuff that we heard last year, like with Jack Showalter, Jack Decor. It's like there's new true crime people coming out or something, and they're going back to like the beginning. And now I'm even more confused.
I didn't blame the Jacks because of the time and where they were.
I looked at it, but then when we first watched the video with the grub truck, you could clearly see he goes to the right and the girls go to the left.
Right.
And so then at that point, I'm like, I don't know, guys. I'm like, unless they moved and went towards his way, or he, out of camera went towards their way. But I mean, yeah, in the beginning, it was like, who done it? I felt like everybody was kind of together on that too. Like, and then as soon as they got a suspect, it was like, there's people that think he's guilty, and then there's people that think that he's not guilty.
And there's some people that say that the calls that Kaylee was making to her ex-boyfriend right before the murders, that's all they need. The probable cause means nothing to them. Nothing. But again, you remember what I said. I said there's no way that the two girls, Dylan and Bethany, could have slept through this. Okay, so yeah. I got 1 point for that because I was right about that. But I did say, don't discount a woman, because you know how women get crazy. If somebody was after Jack, or somebody was after Maddie's boyfriend, or somebody was obsessed with Ethan, we could have us a Jodi Arias on our hands.
Yeah, most definitely we could have. I mean, we were all like speculating. I mean, we had like 40 some days to do it. And we weren't getting a lot from the share. I mean, we were getting updates, but I think it was such a big case. We wanted more.
Oh, sure.
Like, more updates. We were just like really wanting the updates. But I think they did a pretty good job on keeping us informed, but not at the same time, but not, because like you said, the mayor was coming out and they were saying, one thing, and then they were even saying in the beginning the house was the target. I never believed the house was the target.
Well, and the whole sensibility to that is that it's the anniversary of Amityville. The house looks like Amityville. He was running the article in the school newspaper that he wanted to interview criminals to see how they felt before, during, and after committing crimes. And so that was part of it too. So yeah, there's been a lot of speculation, and it really burns my biscuit on the wrong side that they had the grand jury and not the preliminary hearing, because I think had more and we were told what they're really sitting on. Now, obviously not everything till trial. I don't think there would be so much confusion.
I agree. They should have did that.
Because the police were trying to tell us early on that all the people that we were blowing up YouTube about, except me, I had the Jodi Arias theory, they were saying not involved. Here's a clip.
We do not believe the following individuals were involved: the 2 surviving roommates, the male seen in a grub truck video circulating on the internet, a private party who drove Kaylee and Madison home, any of the individuals who spoke to the dispatcher on the 911 call. We're also aware of a male whom Madison and Kaylee had called several times the morning of November 13th, and we do not suspect that individual. Detectives have canvassed the neighborhoods looking for evidence, physical evidence, video surveillance, and they've contacted numerous residents to see if anybody may have seen or heard anything.
So that was enough for me, for the police, because it wasn't just Moscow that was involved. We had the FBI, we had FBI behavioral science, we had ISP. There was a lot of agencies involved. So when he said we don't suspect them, I just dropped it like a hot potato. But some people on it, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I even saw people like, I mean, I guess anybody who could have figured out where Jack DeCourt lived, but I even saw like creators like putting like arrows down to his property, and they're like, "Go get him!" And I'm like, "Whoa, like that's a little out of hand." I mean, the kid was probably sleeping at home. I mean, it was 3 o'clock in the morning when they were, calling him. He might have, and the thing is, Jack might have seen the phone call. And he might have been like, man, I don't want to go do whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like go pick him up. Maybe he thought they were like at the bar or, just doing something, and he just brushed it off and he's like, I'll talk to them in the morning. I think that was the worst thing that he has done in this, you know what I mean? He could have done. And it's not his fault.
Well, I mean,
I don't think he was involved at all.
Not where their relationship was at the time, him and Kaylee, they were broken up at the time. They were still talking to each other. Her parents have said, they would have eventually gotten married someday and everything like that. But when you start, we've all been an ex before, or we've been after an ex before. When you get those calls at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, screw it. I don't feel like fighting till sunup.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, maybe they'll sleep on it. Maybe he's like, she's drunk. Like, I'm not going to answer.
Yeah.
And I know that's why they were both calling. Cause Maddie, she had Maddie calling. She was calling because she wanted to see if he would pick up for Maddie.
He wanted to see, so we have the whole situation where they talked to Adam, and she said, I told Adam everything. So they want to get a hold of Jack and say, hey, what's going on? And he's not going to answer. So something,
great point.
He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to talk to either of them. And he knows that, Maddie and Kaylee are best friends.
Yeah.
And so he knows if Maddie's calling, it's going to be on behalf of Kaylee. Trust me.
He knows. And that's what, and I will say that, like, even about like the surviving roommates, a lot of people say, well, why didn't they wake up before noon or 11? But I don't know, if for some reason they didn't hear what was going on, that sleeping until 11 or so, as a college kid, that seems pretty, straightforward. Like I used to sleep in all the time too, but I don't know why they I don't know how they didn't hear anything. Now, maybe Bethany.
No, they did.
Being
The probable cause shows that Dylan for sure heard something, and they were testing during this and chose to alert Greek Row before the police. And even when 911 was called, it wasn't about a quadruple murder. It was about an unconscious person. Well, they were a little more than unconscious. Crime Story Diva said, I still have reasonable doubt because no blood in the car and the 8-hour delay in calling 911. Boom.
Yeah, I wish they'd really just tell us about that 8-hour delay, or the cops would come out and just. I think that's the one thing that everybody wants to know is about that and the 911 call. I wish they would just kind of come out and just kind of tell us. Maybe they could give us a reasonable answer, and we would be like, okay, that makes sense, or people would kind of back off of it. But as long as we don't have an answer, we're going to keep wondering.
See, and I don't think we're going to have that answer until they both take the stand at trial.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what these so-called experts say when they say, "Oh, they're not going to beat those girls up on the stand," and the hell they aren't.
That's her job.
That's her job.
Yeah.
She's not taking this as a defense attorney in name only. I've
never seen one like her.
She's armed for bear. So if you think she's not going to put doubt into the jurors' minds, look at our chat. We have about 230 people in here right now. And a lot of people are like, that is sus.
Yeah.
Jurors are just like us. They're going to have the same questions when they're sitting in the box. So let's get to what Inside Edition said. This was on Monday. And then we're going to comb through some things that still make us go,
Students were murdered 1 year ago today. Their young lives stolen in the dead of night by a madman with a knife.
Feels like a year, but it also feels like...
Oh, hell. If I see Coffin Daffer, I'm shutting down the show. Okay, so Inside Edition has Banfield. All right, it looks like we have on, would you call that vanilla or cream?
Maybe a cream. But did you see her the other night? She wore orange on Halloween. She changed her shirt for the last 5 minutes. I'm not kidding you. The last 5 minutes of the show. I have a video short on it. I said, is it a Christmas miracle?
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me
I
about
think she changed because some guy came on her show and he had on like a tie that had like pumpkins on it. And he was like, oh, happy Halloween. You're not dressed for Halloween or something like that. And I look back up like 20 minutes later and she's wearing an orange shirt. And I'm like, she wasn't wearing that orange shirt prior. So yeah, she changed her shirt.
Always keeping us on our toes, aren't you, Beigefield?
Yeah.
a week. And I think for the parents, it probably feels like eternity.
News Nation's Ashley Banfield has been on the story since day one.
I think we always think there's a perfectly good explanation for how something so mind-blowing could happen. Who kills 4 kids in their beds? Innocent kids.
Roommate Dylan Mortensen came face to face with the killer that night, alleged to be Brian Koberger.
I don't think they were in their beds, but that's just me. I think Maddie was in her bed.
Yeah, I think Maddie was too. I think Kaylee was in her own bed.
Yeah. Because I think she heard something. She went to check. Dylan was yelling, shut your dog up. Because remember, we heard for the longest time that they have the only dog on the planet that doesn't bark. Then we hear later that the dog was barking.
Yeah.
I think Ethan and Xana heard something. And I don't believe Ethan and Xana were asleep.
I don't either.
He snuck in very quiet and they're deep asleep. All very sound sleepers. And these weren't clean wounds, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I
don't think any of them were sleeping. I think maybe Maddie was probably sleeping. I think Kaylee was getting ready to go to sleep. She's probably in her bed. But I don't think that they were even sleeping. I think that Maddie probably was because she looked like she had drank a little bit, that night. So she probably fell asleep pretty fast. If any of them were asleep, it would probably have been her.
And I just don't see how Kaylee could be a target when she wasn't, meant to be there.
Yeah, she wasn't even supposed to be there.
Ethan wasn't supposed to be there. He just came back after a fight at the party and stayed with Xana. So really, The only people that they knew, if Brian had really been, targeting this house and he was doing his homework, the only people that were supposed to be there would be Maddie, Xana, Dylan, and Bethany. I'm still not convinced that Dylan and Bethany were alone. I won't be surprised if we don't hear later on that one or both of them had a boyfriend with them.
Yeah, that's true. That could be the exculpatory evidence they're trying to talk about or something. Might have something to do with that.
And the whole college kids sleep in. Sure they do. Sure they do. But not after a horrific murder takes feet from them. That's just my thoughts. I digress. Bama, thank you for the super sticker, said, how do y'all feel about the girl at the candle ceremony stating she woke up to 27 missed calls? I need more info on that.
Yeah, I heard her say that.
Who were the 7 missed
I heard
calls?
a lot of the kids. I heard a lot of the kids woke up with a lot of missed calls, though. I'm not sure when, when they woke up, or, if this was like later on in the afternoon. But yeah, I heard her say that during the candlelight vigil. And it was, I think, Xana's friend, maybe.
Wondering who the
20. I can't remember.
I just want to know who. That was my understanding too. I'm just wondering who were the 27 missed calls from. Multiple people that had heard what had happened, or was it from one of the victims themselves?
Yeah, because I would say maybe altogether 27 calls, not 27 people. That just seems like a lot of people. I mean to be calling like this one particular girl. I mean, she's connected to the people that live there, but it's not like she's a brother or sister, or you know what I mean? To where it would be like, we got to call her immediately, like 27 people. So I would think it'd be 27 different, like 27 calls.
Yeah, somebody's trying to get a hold of her to tell her what happened, but good old mainstream media, they give us just enough of a soundbite to leave us asking what the hell's really going on.
Exactly.
But he made no attempt to kill her. She now appears to be suffering from survivor's guilt and has transferred to a new college.
Dylan faced criticism from online bullies because after she encountered the killer, she closed her bedroom door. 911 wasn't called for 8 hours. Dylan says she did not know that her roommates had been murdered.
I challenge anyone to be in a position where they wake up to 4 of their roommates gone, her former stepmom was quoted as saying. People have to understand that these children are very young, and it's just a really traumatizing thing. I just think that people need to have compassion.
We do have compassion, but we also have questions.
We also have a brain. Yeah, we do. I have a lot of questions still on this case. They may get answered during trial.
And here it is a year later, an ex-stepmama comes out to defend Dylan and says it's really traumatizing.
Exactly.
I mean, you waited a year to defend your ex-stepdaughter? And what is it in these cases when the exes come out?
Yeah.
And a year later?
A year later. Yeah, that got me too. I was wondering why it took a year. And then somebody else came forward, I thought. It was like Brian's aunt or something recently. Yeah, she came forward and she was like, I think he was going to be found guilty or something like along those lines. And I'm like, where the hell have you been, lady? I mean, it's been a year. Like, no one's talked about Brian Koberger from Brian Koberger's family. And then all of a sudden this lady pops up and she says she's his aunt. So I don't know. I guess take that with a grain of salt.
The same aunt that said he had to have separate dishes and pots and everything because he was
That's what I was wondering.
I think it's the same aunt.
She's probably feeling some type of way.
And I can't say anything about Bethany because Bethany was on the ground floor. Dylan was on the floor too. Now, we were not told that in the beginning. That was the only way that I could put together that possibly Dylan and Bethany didn't hear anything because they were
That's
both
what I thought.
Floor 1. We find out from the probable cause Dylan was on floor 2. Now then, it's safe to say that all the kids were out probably partaking in some alcohol, all right? Nobody's going to sleep for 8 full hours with a bladder full of Budweiser.
Yeah, I thought about that too. The only thing I can think of, and this I don't know if this is true, but it would be like if they shut Xana's door and maybe that hallway light wasn't on. That would be the only way for you not to be able to see anything. Because they have that hallway light in front of like Xana's door, like between the bathroom door and her door. Like around that area, they had like a light that went up into like the ceiling. And it looked like that light stayed on to where you would see, like if you're walking around the house. But if they were to turn that light off, maybe you wouldn't see if you were going to the bathroom.
Well,
But
yeah.
you think you would turn the light on in the bathroom and you would see the hallway illuminating then? Unless you just don't turn the light on. You just run in, go to the bathroom, run out, just something quick.
Yeah, but she saw Bushy. She described his eyebrows and everything. Mary Beth, thank you. Sticker. She said,
Mary Beth.
Great creators equals one great live. Yes, we're very blessed to have Titanium. And we've had several medical professionals on here, retired and current, that says they're still not used to the smell of blood. Now, this really is not going to leave my brain because, well, they would know. They're still not used to the smell of blood. How would Dylan and Bethany sit there and smell that? I don't care how cold it was outside. I don't care that the door was open. Something's going on with that 8 hours, and it's going to have to be described. It's going to have to be explained, because between the time that 4 people were horrifically murdered and the 8 hours it took to call for help, that is going to weigh in someone's brain on that jury. But that's just me.
The families of the slain students are marking the sad anniversary in their own ways. The parents of Kaylee Gonzalez said they will spend the day alone in reflection. Kaylee's boyfriend now takes care of her beloved dog Murphy. Xana Kernodle's sister Jasmine posted photos of the two of them through the years and wrote, "It's truly indescribable what happened to her, and it is so unfair." Ethan Chapin's mother wrote a children's book about her son called The Boy Who Wore Blue. She recently got a tattoo with Ethan's own handwriting that says simply, "I love you, Mom." Maddie Mogan's boyfriend Jake Schreiger posted a photo of them together, writing, "I miss you so much. I wish I could spoil you today, but I'm sending extra hugs and kisses to heaven."
Awful is out there. Horrible people are out there. The boogeyman is out there. And there's not a lot you can do to protect yourself. That's why we're so gripped by this.
Boogeyman Beighefield.
Yeah.
The boogeyman is out there. Awful is out there. Evil is out there. The boogeyman is out there. CCare RN, thank you for weighing in, says it smells metallic at first before it warms.
Yeah.
What Angel told me too. Angel needs
and
to...
I know that wounds have a smell. Like the actual wound, like not just the blood, but the wound itself would have a smell. I guess from all of the stuff coming out, but
I just can't imagine. And I just can't imagine, for some reason, Xana, I can't get Xana out of my mind. Well, I mean, none of them. But Xana, I mean, her fingers were almost off, okay? She fought back. Steve said that the wounds between Kaylee and Madison were different. So that tells me that Kaylee caught him off guard and she fought back. Maddie wasn't fighting back because she was laying in bed. She was asleep.
I agree. I agree.
It's crazy. So we're going back roughly a year, okay? This is when the mayor of Moscow said this is a crime of passion. Well, as if that didn't light the internet up. Do you remember that, Titanium?
Yeah.
I'm like, what's he doing? Watching Days of Our Lives? Crime of passion. And then here comes the chief going, I don't know where he got that.
Yeah, I remember. Wow, yeah. They needed to get together on that.
Alibi, where have you been, girlfriend? Glad you're back. I missed you, and I've been missing you in Discord. All right, so let's rewind back to the future style and look at what they said when the mayor was telling everyone it's a crime of passion. And anywhere you want me to pause it, let me know, Titanium, because you know how it is.
and very few answers after 4 students at the University of Idaho were found murdered in their off-campus house. Authorities are calling it a crime of passion. Here's Stephen Fabian.
It's the chilling last photo of 4 University of Idaho students taken just hours before they were found murdered.
And I will say this about the photo. It is chilling. I did see Christy Goncalves, her post, and she said this was her last text from Kaylee, and it's this.
I saw that.
Now,
yeah. And her mom wrote back like "my lovelies" or something.
Yeah.
How could this be a crime of passion if it, like, for him to say that so, like, first thing is beyond me, because if this was a crime of passion, normally that entails like a boyfriend did it, a girlfriend did it, not just some, somebody from another town. Like, they probably should have kept that to themselves.
Well, and also the crime of passion is what lit the Facebook groups, Twitter, Insta, YouTube on fire, especially Reddit, because they're immediately going for who dated who. That's exactly what crime of passion means. And when we saw this picture, they did a good job of clipping out Dylan and Bethany, but we could obviously see other people were in the picture. Leave it to good old Daily Mail. They went ahead and they found the real one and they tracked them down.
Yeah, they had their face blurred out for the longest time too in the pictures.
Before they were found murdered. They were identified as freshman Ethan Champett, his girlfriend Zana Kernodle, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Madison Mogan. It's being called a crime of passion. The killer or killers used an edged weapon such as a knife, police just revealed. I spoke with Kaylee Gonzalez's sister, Olivia, who described the last night of the students' lives.
My sisters did everything right. They went out in the buddy system. They went out together. They Ubered out. They stopped and got food. They Ubered home. They let their dog out to go potty, and then they locked their house up. They did everything right. And this still happened. Only when I met on my own.
Social media videos show Kaylee as a fun-loving, vibrant young lady enjoying campus life with her sorority sisters inside the 6-bedroom off-campus house where the murders took place. They were murdered between 3 and 4 a.m. Sunday, and their bodies were found later that morning. The medical examiner has reportedly ruled out a murder-suicide, but even with a killer still out there on the loose, authorities say there's no risk to the other students on campus, and that's
okay. So I don't understand how they made that call that there's no risk, because as we know from the probable cause, they had already put together that it was most likely Bushy. They already knew about the car, but they gave us the wrong year purposely. Also, the 3 to 4 a.m. wrong. We were told wrong, and that's okay. The police can look straight at you and lie. They're not going to go to hell for it. It was actually between 4 and 4:20, roughly.
Yeah. And this is one of the first things that came out, isn't it? First news clips.
Oh yeah, this was.
I remember them. Yeah, because I remember them first. They I think a couple people thought that it could have been like a murder or unaliving S word, but I think that was taken off the table pretty quickly. I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. People were running with that for a while, and they're like, nah. Now, I don't know where Olivia got that the house was locked up. We know there wasn't an Uber. It was a sorority ride share.
Yeah.
We do know that now. And the house wasn't locked up because he gained entrance through that sliding door.
Yeah.
Also, it was said later that the keypad, pretty much everybody in the neighborhood had.
Everyone knew it.
Everybody had it. So, I mean, I get Olivia thinking that or saying that, but that's not, we know a year later, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
It's all adding to the mystery of these tragic deaths. Many of the university's 12,000 students are scared and leaving early for the Thanksgiving break. The family of Kaylee Gonzalez pleaded with students in a statement. We urge you to refrain from spreading harmful rumors that aren't based in actuality. Misinformation is unfair to everyone involved.
We're mad. We're really mad. We know that there is someone who is responsible for this. We know that there's someone who saw something And no one's talking. We're not getting any answers, and we're not going to settle for that.
Yeah. The Goncalves family, they were fighting mad. She said, we're not going to settle for that. Someone knows, someone saw something. Little did they know, someone did know, and someone did see something, and that somebody was Dylan.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering if because she did get the Ring camera, I'm wondering if she, like what she saw in there, if she did see that Maddie and Kaylee took the dog out, or if she's just guessing on that part. Because the one Ring camera they said they have is from the blue house in front of them, or like to the side, and that wouldn't be able to pick up video, from the back of the house. So I'm wondering if they must have another camera. Maybe even the one across the street.
Jewels of All Trade did a show on that. I would have to find it because now the hamster on the wheel of my brain is getting off. Not getting off in a fun way, if you know what I mean. Because I cannot remember. But when it came out that 2 people survived but were not attacked, instantly we were like, what is going on? Well, one of the press liaison for the ISP weighed in on it. And the press, they weren't going away. They were going to get their answers on this.
Surviving female roommates. Correct. You have not ruled them out as suspects?
Correct. So let me clarify that. No one has been ruled included or excluded as a person of interest and or a suspect. Everyone is still being investigated.
Are they witnesses?
They are working and talking with detectives, and they have been cooperative, very cooperative with detectives.
ISP won't say.
He said, are they witnesses? And when they won't answer a simple question, you know that it's not a simple answer. I found that to be very odd a year ago, and I find it to be odd now because we talked about it on the show. Of course, I had my ass handed to me by some people that, of course, have gone away, but that always happens. You know what I mean? These are the people that are like, of course they can sleep through it. But we have now an affidavit saying they didn't. Well, we know Dylan didn't. But she says, are they witnesses? They're cooperating. Instead of saying, no, they didn't see anything. So we knew right then something was up. And now, of course, we know so much more. Snow said one got a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, they both have attorneys. We know for sure.
I think they both do.
In Nevada. So, of course, Inside Edition, they couldn't get enough of it. I don't know. I don't know who had more of a field day. The Today Show, News Nation, or Inside Edition. What do you think?
News Nation, probably. Or Inside Edition. I feel like Brian was living there for a while.
I know. And he only did his best work when he was standing out in the snow.
I know. I felt so bad for him with that little coat. I'm like, can they give him a bigger coat?
He was always out in the snow. And I'm like, what is he, a chicken? Was. Get inside. Get inside, Brian. Miss Moolah said, yes, 2 people were there awake and neither called police. See, that's never going to be out of our heads until they give us some answer that makes sense. This, you need to have compassion. That's just not going to do it. People want to know.
Yeah, I want to know.
And the brunt of it's going to be put on Dylan because she claims to have seen Bushy. Bethany supposedly has the exculpatory evidence and didn't want to talk to the defense. Why was she fighting that?
Yeah, I don't know why she would fight that. I wonder if they ever did end up getting that interview with her, because they were going to go to Nevada and get it, but then we never really heard anything after that because they didn't do the preliminary.
No, they didn't. Instead, and this is what we were talking about on the show, we said, if you keep pushing for this interview with her, the state's going to go to a grand jury and we're not going to have a preliminary. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. I wish we would have had the preliminary because then we'd all have a better idea of what's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time till trial. Now, as you remember, there was a lot of convo about the food truck video.
Oh, yeah.
This I didn't think was ever going to go away.
Enhanced video of the confrontation between two of the University of Idaho murder victims and another student at a food truck. The time, 1:30 a.m., just hours before the murders. Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Mogan stopped for mac and cheese after partying at a nearby bar.
Everybody seemed like in good spirits, nothing seemed off. And then they start interacting with a couple other people. They're waiting for their food.
Now look at this. Video shows Madison pointing at a man in a hoodie who appeared to have followed them to the truck. We had the video and audio from the clip enhanced, and you can hear her using an expletive. Blank you.
Blank you, mister. Well, they've been drinking and having fun. Telling this guy at the food truck, blank you, mister, is not going to have him follow her back to the house and do the unthinkable. And it is very important to note that they supposedly were eating on the way back. Some people are saying, considering it took so long to call 911, they wouldn't have any idea when they died. BS, because both Kaylee and Maddie had eaten, and Xana had a DoorDash. I am not a doctor, okay? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical examiner. And if I was, I couldn't do any damn worse than the coroner did in Moscow that gave the information. But if what they tell me on TV is true, they do check your digestion after you have passed to see how long your food's been sitting there.
Yeah. And they'll be able to tell. And that guy with the hat, remember the big guy right there? Everyone was like going after him too. His name is Joe.
Oh yeah.
I'll give him some props because he came out on TikTok and he made a few videos defending Jack Showalter. And he said, after this is done and over with, I'm deleting these videos and moving on with my life. Like as soon as someone's arrested. And he did. The day that Brian Kohlberger was arrested, I checked like the next day. He deleted all of the stuff on his TikTok that had to do with the case. So you could tell he wasn't just trying to get big off of this case. But I've heard that people were trying to like say stuff about this food truck video again, I guess, and him in particular. And I'm like, we already talked about this last year, guys.
Yeah, don't make him put his TikTok back up. Not that Tiff would have a problem with it, because Tiff couldn't get enough of his eyes. Boy, he was a big old drink of water everybody liked.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about how pretty his eyes were.
Put it back up, Joe. We know you're innocent, but let us see those eyes again.
You, mister, she says. Police have already announced they have cleared the young man in the hoodie. Audio engineer Anthony Nelson enhanced the audio for Inside Edition. What do you hear in that instant?
She says, you.
So, was there an argument? If so, what was it about? Kaylee's parents say, in their opinion, some of the individuals have been cleared too prematurely. Nancy Grace, host of Crime Stories, says the victims' families are being mishandled.
Number one thing you do in a murder case is you locate the victim's family and loved ones, and you hold their hands from soup to nuts till you get that guilty verdict all the way. Now, do I mean hand over your file and all the intricacies of the case? H-E-double-L, no. But there's a happy medium. These families should not feel this way.
Meanwhile, the focus is shifting to where the other two victims, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, were between 9 p.m. when they were at a gathering at a Sigma Chi fraternity and 1:45 a.m.
Well, there was a time when they were trying to piece together Xana and Ethan's timeline. But guess who filled it in according to the probable cause? Bethany. She was at the same party as them.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they left together. I think did they leave together? No, I
they
don't know.
Bethany. Supposedly Bethany and Dylan got home around the same time. Then Ethan and Xana. Then Maddie and Kaylee.
Yeah, because in the probable cause, it just says they were all in bed by like 4. So it doesn't really let you know what they were doing at the house.
Well, and Jules
I'm
is
assuming they were just hanging, but.
And Jules is having Jules problems. She said, "Dang, Joe, why couldn't you be my propane man? Come back. Tiffany's missing you." She said, "That my baby. I miss you, Joe. We miss you, Joe."
I like Joe. He was a nice guy.
When they returned
It takes a
home,
lot to come
just
out
a short
and
distance from
defend
the
somebody.
frat house. Police fear students who have the information are reluctant to come forward. News Nation's Brian Enton is in Idaho.
Police told me they want to
in the snow. Now, obviously, he's not going to be in the house, but there's got to be a library around there.
send a message out to the kids here on campus. They're not concerned about what was happening at any of these parties, whether the kids were drinking or the college students were smoking pot or whatever. They're not going to get in trouble, police say. They just want the information about where Xana and Ethan were.
And we got the information because the probable cause said that Bethany saw them. She put that together. So why were they asking the public if they had already interviewed Bethany?
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Aaron Snell even said they could be witnesses. They could be suspects. They could be the key to the whole thing. So why all the hoopla about where were Xana and Ethan in the missing time? It wasn't a party for three. It wasn't just Bethany, Xana, and Ethan. There were other people at the party. We know now there was an argument. How come nobody would say, oh, he was there?
I don't know why they haven't come out and kind of said a little bit more about what, what, like just over the whole evening, what everybody did. I mean, even Kaylee and Maddie, we just know that at 10:30, around like 10:30, they were at the Corner Club. Like, what were they doing, prior to that? Just a lot of holes.
And I still think Jack was at the Corner Club. That dude looked exactly like Jack.
Oh, yeah, no, it was him. The Gonzalez's family, they came out and said it in an interview because I was on the other side of the fence with that picture. I was like, I don't think that's him. And I can't remember which interview it was, but it wasn't too long ago. It's been a few months, but they said that that was Jack in the photo at the Corner Club.
Uh-huh. Yep. I knew it wasn't his doppelganger that just showed up to see Kaylee when she came to town before moving to Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Hey, V. Oakley, what's up? So again, going back a year, this is when the coroner confirmed it was definitely a homicide by a very, very sharp object. Now, you're going to pick up from this some inconsistencies based on what we know now. Where you see it, let me know.
Okay.
4 days ago, four University of Idaho students, were killed near campus.
In the days that followed, the community was left reeling and looking for answers.
And police answered some of those questions we saw right here live during the news at 4 during a news conference yesterday, but there are still so many unknown factors.
In the meantime, students and people in the area say they haven't felt safe. So today, we continue to hear from people on and near the campus.
And News Channel 7's Abby Davis is live in Moscow. We saw you, Abby, at the top of the hour, and you had some updates there for us, right?
That's right, Shira and Doug. Now, the Moscow Police Department just released the Latah County's coroner's official report ruling the cause of death a homicide, murder, and the manner of death a stabbing. So that was some new confirmed information we got within the last 30 minutes. Now, police say they don't have a suspect or a suspects, and all of the students I talked with today sounded pretty wary and not super safe on campus. They said that they're all just being extra cautious right now, staying in at night and walking places with their friends, kind of the buddy system right now. Now, Idaho State Police confirmed today they are looking for a knife purchased around town. There is increased campus security right now in Idaho.
Okay. They are looking around town for a knife purchased. I saw a few people in here were talking about Ian. Remember good old Ian? Flamethrowing Ian?
Enan.
Enan, yeah. That said he had a K-bar in his butthole.
Yep.
He sleeps with a K-bar in his butthole.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's the one that put the screaming, like the thing that he said he heard a scream, and then he edited his Facebook post to say that there wasn't a scream, or he edited vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I heard he's doing interviews.
Is he again? We're friends on.
Yeah,
I'll get a hold of him.
I actually saw somewhere on, I don't know whose channel it was, but it was a creator's channel, and they were having a dating show for Enan. like a full blown, he was on one, like in one little square. And then there was like women that were answering, I guess, questions to go on a date with him. I don't know. I didn't watch. I was just like, I'm going to back out of this now. And
Don't tell Daisy. Don't tell Daisy because she'll steal the idea. She'll have him on there, and everybody that calls in, they'll have to give her $5.
Yeah.
K-bar in the butthole. You know she would.
Yeah. And he's not a suspect, though.
ISP also increased its presence around town. We confirm there is a behavioral analysis unit of the FBI helping with the case. They're helping create profiles of unknown offenders, offering investigative suggestions and strategies. And here's what we know. Officers responded to a 911 call about an unconscious person Sunday at noon when they got to the house on King Road near U of I's campus.
And we're not going to know more about this unconscious person till we get to trial and they play the 911 call.
Yeah.
Because that's always been up there. And they're like, oh, that's just how 911 dispatches. Now, let me tell you, I don't care if it's your first day on the job and they didn't have time to train you. When you are getting a phone call about 4 people stabbed to death, you're not going to put in unconscious person. So we're not going to until we hear the 911.
Campus, they found the 4 students dead. Moscow Police Chief James Fry also said 2 roommates were home when it happened, but didn't go so far as to call them witnesses and says they were not hurt. The murders happened sometime early Sunday morning.
Now, this is important.
Well, they would be witnesses.
But this is important because he said we won't go as far as to call them witnesses. We know now that at least one supposedly was.
Yeah.
Again, this was a year ago. And he was very careful not, she said, are they witnesses? Let's listen to it again. Look how uneasy he gets with this question.
Surviving female roommates. You have not ruled them out as suspects?
Correct. So let me clarify that. No one has been ruled included or excluded as a person of interest and or a suspect. Everyone is still being investigated.
Are they witnesses?
They are working and talking with detectives, and they have been cooperative, very cooperative with detectives.
ISP won't say.
So when they won't answer something, what is perceived to be a simple question, we know it's because it's not a simple answer, and we know why now.
Morning, but Fry did not say why it took so long for someone to call 911 rather. And he also wouldn't clarify who made the call specifically. Now, I spoke with U of I's Dean of Students, Blaine Eccles, earlier today, and he reminded students to take care of themselves.
We have drop-in counseling available over at our Counseling and Testing Center up on the 3rd floor, Mary Forney Hall. Students can also call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to our main counseling number, which is 208-885-6716, and select option 3 in the evenings or weekends, and they'll definitely connect with someone as well.
Police are keeping information about the attack close to their vests. Chief Fry said multiple times they don't want to give away any information that could compromise their investigation or any upcoming prosecution. Now, just to reiterate, police don't have a suspect or suspects at this time. They also don't have a description. So they're asking community members to stay vigilant, be careful, just kind of what those students were doing earlier. We can see behind me, campus there are still some people. You can see the cars driving by, but people are going home for Thanksgiving break, and we know students are leaving, and they're asking anybody who knows anything to call their tip line. And Shira and Doug, we also learned today that they are planning on releasing an email tip line as well, and that phone tip line should be on your screen right now.
And they did keep things close to the vest, which I agree with, not just in this case, but every case. Because even though we want our curiosity quelched, we're going to get on with our life and go to bed. But guess what the person that done it is going to do? They're going to get a step ahead of police because they know they're on to them.
And that's the thing I was just thinking, like, they would have interviewed Bethany and Dylan the same day. So they would have known, this is all they would have known, was a figure. She saw someone in a black outfit, had bushy eyebrows, that was 5'10", muscular, but not like athletic, but not muscular. That really is not a very good description to like kind of give out to the public. So maybe that's why they didn't. Because like they could have done, they should have, maybe they should have done that. Like, hey, we have a witness. I don't know if they want to put her throw her under the bus like that though at the same time. But I mean, usually when there's a suspect in any crime, they put it out on, and they give us a description like 5'10", muscular, bushy eyebrows, just be vigilant.
Dressed like a
In this
ninja.
case, they didn't. Dressed like a ninja, yeah.
Well, and that's what I was surprised about, because I'm not quite sure when they got the interviews with Dylan and Bethany, because, they're processing the crime scene, trying to figure out what's going on. So when did they actually go and give them this information? I'd have to look at the probable cause again, because I believe that they do have dates in there, because they should have put out, we are looking for this person, here's the sketch. But for some reason, the uppers, as Candace likes to call them, didn't want to release a sketch. Hey, it's their business.
That's even a good idea, a sketch. I didn't even think about that. She could have done a sketch.
Yeah, and
why didn't they do that? That would have made the community maybe a little less scared.
Yeah,
because the community had no clue that they even were looking at anybody. They were all under the impression that they didn't know who it was. Or, no eyewitnesses even.
Britt has a really good point. As Aaron said, they have not been cleared as suspects. Now, that was a year ago. She said, would you be called a witness if you are still a suspect? Think about that.
Maybe that's why he said they're cooperating and talking with police. Like when she was like, are they witnesses? He was like, they're cooperating and talking with police. So maybe that's why he said it like that, because maybe they weren't sure at the time.
All right, so we get to this, and this is the part that really, obviously, it's unthinkable, unnecessary. We don't know what was going through whoever's mind that did this, or why. A motive would be nice. That might help us put it together a little bit. But it really bothers me, the 8 hours. I know ex-stepmama keeps telling everyone to have compassion. I get it, but I have compassion for the families. Because when the times of death come out, and they will, in the trial, they will have that medical examiner on the stand. It's not going to take Xana's family too long to put together that there might have been time to save her.
Yeah.
It's not going to take Ethan's family too long to figure out he could have been saved. Maddie, I doubt it. Not that I'm a doctor. Kaylee, if it's, no. But they are saying that Xana was alive. Not alive. Of course she was alive. Can't kill a dead person. She was awake. You're in good hands here.
Tonight, we're learning more details about the grisly murders in Idaho. Police believe Brian Koberger stabbed the students to death between 4 and 4:25 that morning. But after earlier reports, the victims were likely sleeping. New court records show at least one victim, Xana Kernodle, was likely awake, getting a DoorDash delivery at 4 a.m. and minutes later was on TikTok. One of the surviving roommates hearing cries from Xana's room, then opening her own door to see that masked man coming toward her, so close she could see his bushy eyebrows before he walked past her and out the sliding glass door. Up until the...
Okay, let's look at this. Roommate's bedroom, which we know is Dylan's. Xana's bedroom. Okay, there's the sliding glass door. That is supposedly the point of entrance and the point of exit. Okay, she had the door open. Now then, obviously, this is just a scale model. Down those stairs go to the first floor, obviously, and that would be where Bethany was sleeping. I don't know how well insulated this house is. No idea. I'm not a construction site supervisor in Idaho, so I can't weigh in on that. Dylan saw him leave. She described him.
Yeah.
She shuts the door. She goes back in. This is not a big proximity from her eagle eye view to Ethan and Xana. 8 hours. 8 hours.
Sliding glass door. Up until the release of this affidavit, police had not revealed one of the two roommates who survived was actually awake and witnessed the intruder.
Releasing that information could potentially do two things: put them in jeopardy and also maybe complicate your ability to identify him. He might start getting rid of things, evidence that you might at some point be able to seize.
Police say last fall, Koberger, a graduate student in criminology, applied for an internship with local police in nearby Pullman, Washington. Around the same time, investigators say cell phone data shows he made at least a dozen late night or early morning trips near the victim's home. Kaylee Gonzalez's father trying to find out why the killer went after these students.
There's still more to be gathered. I think it was a restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that that put this predator on their path.
You can see there right behind me those slides.
I've often wondered if it wasn't the Mad Greek. It has been said by employees there that will not be named that he did eat there quite a bit. Xana and Maddie both worked there. They even said what he would come in and eat. Now, the owner doesn't want to be a part of it. I don't blame her. I wouldn't want Brian in my driveway. Bonafide said you don't come face to face with someone and not become a target. And this I have thought about on two different wavelengths. For one, you're going to be scared for your own life because you have a pretty good idea what has happened on the other side of your door. Then there's fight or flight. You want to save your own ass. So you're going to hit that 911 as soon as possible. Drunk, high, just had sex, isn't going to matter because you don't want to die.
Yeah.
Lisa said Dylan could not see him leaving, but according to Dylan, she did. I don't know.
I think from her point of view, she could see that he was heading towards the back slider. And so she just, I think she just assumed that's the way he exited. Because that's the way that's the area he was going towards.
Okay, good point. Fair enough. A lot of people have a question about the weather. This is all I can make sense of about the weather. It's 27 degrees that night. All right. My Okie blood is not that thick. 27 degrees, it might as well be negative 60. Okay?
Me too, yep.
It's gonna kill me. But now you talk to somebody from Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, upstate New York, they're wearing shorts and a hoodie.
Yeah, they definitely are. I'm from Ohio and we do that in like 40 degrees. The guys do, like, around here. They'll wear sandals and shorts. I'm always cold though.
My husband's from New York. Okay. He's in Oklahoma now. So he goes out the other day. It was about, I'd say, I don't know, it was like, 40 degrees, something like that. He has on, it looked like a coin pusher outfit. He had on his Kansas City slides. He had on some athletic shorts and a hoodie. And this guy said to him, can you not make up your mind what season it is? And he goes, I'm from New York. Well, that's all it takes to say when you're talking to an Okie. Oh, okay. Yeah. You're like, oh, so you're not right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sliding glass doors. Authorities say that's how they believe the suspect left the home. They also say that they can use cell phone data to place Brian Koberger back here near the home 5 hours after the murders, around 9.
Hang on, I want to look at something.
She could see his.
Lisa has a very good point. Basing this off the diagram, I smell what you're stepping in, Lisa. She said her door is facing the wrong way. See, this is why I love you guys, because we pick each other's brains.
Yeah, that's what I love about my chat too. Yeah, I was on mute, but I said that, yeah, her door's backwards. It's like on the wrong hinge. Should be on the other side. But I've always thought in my head, I'm a front door person. I don't know why I think that he exited through the front door, but I thought when Dylan saw him that he might have been going back upstairs to the 3rd floor to retrieve his sheaf. And then she shut her door, and maybe he did go out the back slider, or maybe he went down the stairs and went out the front door. Because they did say that the front door was open the next morning too, at like 8:30 or something like that.
Because the gentleman that was walking his dog said that the front door was open.
Yeah.
Jules said, I still have pics of the old floor plan pics, Brooks. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Jules. And we get back to why did it take so long to call 911? Again, I'm not beating a dead horse here. Baby Kisses said she might have watched him walk out looking out. And through deductive reasoning, she knows that the sliding glass door is there and that obviously go. He's not Spider-Man, for God's sake. It still needs to be answered at some point. Not just for me, but for due process. Why the 8 hours? There's got to be something in here that can be explained. Going to sleep after a night of drinking doesn't do it for me, because you're going to sober up real quick with blood-curdling screams and the smell of death around you.
Yeah.
If you were to plead guilty or be found guilty, is death or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's a true crime story captivating the nation after 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered last year. Since suspected murderer Brian Koberger appeared in Latah County, Idaho court on Thursday, we're learning more about the case. But there are still many unanswered questions. Why did the surviving roommates wait almost 8 hours after the murders to call 911? Why did the killer spare the life of Kaylee Gonzalez's dog? And perhaps most important, why were the lives of 2 roommates spared? We take a deep dive into those questions and more.
Well, people do different things under stress. And while it's detailed in the affidavit that she saw these things, we don't know that he saw anything. He's moving around in the dark. He's got this mask over his nose and his mouth. He's already done what he's going to do, or he's on his way to do it. He's already focused on where he's headed.
Let's start with the basics. Why would the murderer spare the lives of 2 roommates in the off-campus home?
Okay, this is one thing I don't think can ever be explained. I want Titanium to weigh in on this. If you're trying to get away with the perfect crime, why would you leave a witness? I'm going to be fair and say that he didn't know anybody was in the 1st floor. Why?
Yeah, that's probably true.
Okay, so or people cannot do anything now because, well, they have been severely disabled. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. It's like, why leave the last person?
Unless
he didn't see her.
To Dylan, but looking at that scale, how could he not see that door open 3 times? How could he not hear it? I can hear my door open.
The only thing I can think of with that is if he was looking down at that step. You know that step that goes down right there before Dylan's door? I would trip on it every time if I lived there. I don't know how the person that did this didn't trip going up it or going down it, but maybe they were looking down, more down at the stair, to like the step, to make sure they didn't trip right there. And maybe she just cracked her door open. I don't know. I don't know how he didn't just say, well, okay, why not one more? I have already done 4. Unless he was totally exhausted and he couldn't even, But you would think, what's one more? I mean, really, I think, he's already done this with 4 people.
Well, and Britt has a mic drop moment again. Britt, I tell you what, you're spewing out the knowledge today. She said if she was just yelling at Kaylee, the suspect had to have heard her at least. Because she was yelling to shut the F up. Shut your effing dog up. What's all the noise? He knew somebody else was there. We get to this. He was supposedly trying to plan the perfect murder. Read what's on the screen.
Tell ABC News investigators are looking at this Reddit post, actively recruiting criminals as part of a school study to understand the psychology of those who commit crimes. It was written by a user named Brian Koberger and linked to a survey of detailed questions.
And this did turn out to be his post, not on Reddit, but at the school he went to in Pennsylvania, that he wanted to interview people that had committed crimes.
I was just thinking of this too. There was five or six cars parked out front. So you would think that he would count that many cars and know that there's at least that many people inside the home.
Does this
for him to just leave Dylan? You know what I mean? Wouldn't he think like, okay, there's like I don't know if there's 5 or 6. But let's say there's 5 cars in the driveway and he's already unalived 4 people. You know, maybe in my head, if I was the person doing this, I'd be like, okay, where's the other person? You know, like is there someone I'm missing? If he's trying to commit the perfect crime, he doesn't want to leave any witnesses, you would think.
You would think.
Because he's already driving his own car to do it. Because you can't go rent a car. That's going to leave a paper trail. If you borrow a car, they're going to say, hey, he borrowed a car from me. So, you know, you kind of have to take your own car. So maybe he was thinking like, I mean, you think that he would have scoped out the place a little better, known everybody's car, especially with Kaylee having that different car there and not having a new car.
You would think, I mean, even Brandon Shirtliff, Adrian, and Sarah Wandra, I mean, even they were smart enough to change cars throughout the day. He showed up in his own personal use vehicle. Alibi, in all fairness, I see exactly what you're saying. But if he was upstairs with Kaylee and Maddie at the time, he might have thought it was Xana yelling. They were on the same floor.
Maybe that's what brought him downstairs too. I don't know.
According to Koberger's probable cause affidavit, a roommate referred to as DM says she saw a figure, quote, clad in black clothing and mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking toward her. She told authorities she was in the, quote, frozen in shock phase as the killer walked past. After that, DM locked herself in her bedroom. While appearing on Law and Crime's Sidebar podcast, legendary homicide detective Phil Waters said it's possible the murderer didn't even see DM at the time, thus sparing her life.
So he's not getting distracted with things going on around him. And remember, it's dark in there. So there's certainly, what it indicates to me is that he didn't see her. She saw him, which was certainly to her benefit.
We learned in the newly unsealed affidavit that investigators believe the murders happened between 4 and 4:25 a.m. on November 13th. But we also know a 911 call was not made until 11:58 a.m., nearly 8 hours later. Waters says it's possible DM was under a high level of stress or didn't know what happened, so she didn't react.
She locked the door and she was away from it, and she saw the guy leave. So maybe she thought at that point, he's gone. You know, I'm locked in and we're done here. No.
Again, this doesn't make sense to me. I see where he's coming from. Okay, he's gone. I'm locking the door. We're done here. No, you have to protect your own ass. I don't accept this explanation.
I think it's just if the person's brave enough to go out and check the other roommates, maybe she just wasn't brave enough to do that. I mean, it doesn't give her, an excuse or anything, but that's the only thing I could think of is like out of sight, out of mind kind of deal. Like, okay, maybe this didn't happen. No excuse, but
there's got to be an explanation somewhere.
There's got to be we need to.
And if the state doesn't come up with something acceptable, that jury is going to have a problem with this 8 hours. I'm just telling you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Not having any idea what had actually happened.
Both surviving roommates have received a lot of flack for the length it took to call 911, but it's also important to consider they could have been in a state of shock, intoxicated, or even both. In the initial days of the investigation, though, Idaho police said the 911 call would not be released as it was part of the ongoing investigation. But just days before Koberger was arrested, Moscow Police Chief James Fry hinted that it could soon be released.
I think it'll be released when the prosecution believes that we can release that. That may be at trial. That may be before then.
Once the call is made public, we'll be sure to circle back with that information. But for now, let's take a look at the layout of the home. What's important to note is that DM's bedroom was on the second floor, just feet from where Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin were stabbed to death.
Okay. Stairs from the
I remember everybody's drawings off of like Reddit in the beginning because no one knew the layout of the house.
It still is confusing. That's why That's why I'm so against tearing down that house, because a scale model is not going to show the jury. I've said it a million times on here. This is not a ranch style layout. Most houses you walk in, you're like, oh, okay, well, here's the entryway. Okay, now I'm in the living room. Oh, well, there's the kitchen over there. There's the hallway. I'm going to assume there's bedrooms there. This house is not laid out like this at all.
It's like laid out like 3 separate apartments or something.
Yeah. In a nutshell. Just Me has a great comment. How did she know he wasn't coming back? Again, think about saving your own ass unless she knew him and knew what he was there to do. I don't know. It's the only thing that makes sense. And I don't know her well enough to know how responsible she is with electricity. Does she keep her light on all the time? I used to have to yell at my kids all the time. And I'm like, look, unless you want to pay the electric bill, you better turn the lights off when you walk out of a room.
I've heard that before when I was a kid.
But I'm just as bad, so I can't complain.
I'm horrible at it.
Speaking to Sidebar podcast host Jesse Weber before Kohberger's arrest, YouTuber and retired crime scene reconstructionist Johnny Law broke down the layout of the home.
Well, we know if you're looking at the sketch in 2B that's probably more than likely Xana's room. That's where she stayed, where Ethan probably would have been staying with her on November 13th.
That means, according to the sketch, DM was staying in room 2A at the time. She told investigators she opened her bedroom door 3 times the morning of the murders. Once when she heard what she believed to be Kaylee Gonzalez's dog on the 3rd floor. Gonzalez's ex-boyfriend, Jack DeCur, told investigators he shared the dog named Murphy with her. According to court documents, Murphy was found unharmed in Gonzalez's room on the 3rd floor when investigators arrived. Now, some online trial watchers have since connected this with suspect Brian Kohberger's vegan diet. As Law and Crime has reported, the Latah County Jail is working to accommodate Kohberger's vegan diet, which is known widely as a lifestyle choice made by animal activists. So could the murderer's love of animals have kept Murphy safe? According to roommate DM, around the same time that she heard noises from the dog, she heard Gonzalez say something to the effect of, quote, "There's someone here." According to the affidavit, nearby security camera footage picks up repeated sounds of a dog barking at about 4:17 a.m. After that, DM says she heard a male voice say something like, quote, "It's okay, I'm going to help you," to who she believed was Kernodle. The next time DM opened her door, she saw the suspect, who she described as a man with bushy eyebrows. Since his arrest, many have noted Kohberger's eyebrows, saying they matched DM's description of the murder suspect. It's important.
Okay, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Slim had a really good point about that several months ago. Maybe he was trying to act like he was the police.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I just thought maybe he was just someone like I believed it was whoever, did this. They were just trying to maybe reassure the person for a minute to like kind of get their guard to go down. Like, no, I'm here to help, because there were a lot of people in and out of that house. But that's a good point, Slim.
Yeah. Britt said, so wait. Dylan yells at Kaylee and the dog. Kaylee replied with, someone is here. Why would Dylan not be wondering about this? We know it's a party house, so people show up. But for her to say someone's here, that would be out of the norm for this house.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it would be too dark to even have this, but that's just me.
To note though, Kohberger is suspected of the murderers, but has not yet been convicted of the crime, nor has he pleaded guilty. And while the release of the affidavit finally gives us the surviving roommate's perspective from the night of the murders, it's not the first time we're hearing from them. Only identified through the initials DM and BF in the affidavit, surviving roommates Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk spoke out at a memorial service for the victims prior to Kohberger's arrest. A pastor read letters from both Mortensen and Funk.
To my 4 best friends who deserve to live a long, happy life, my life was greatly impacted to have known these 4 beautiful people. My people who changed my life in so many ways and made me so happy.
Though an arrest has been made and the affidavit released, there are still many unanswered questions in this high-profile case. Was there a motive in the quadruple slaying? Did the suspect know any of the victims? For now, though, Kohberger is due back in Latah County Court on January 12th. Long Crime Network will bring you the latest developments from that hearing next week. Reporting for Long Crime Network.
Britt said, I'm leaning towards Kaylee's voice and tone had to have been different, even fearful. Dylan didn't notice this. It couldn't have been, someone's here. Come on. Time for our second win. Time to get up. Haven't seen them in a long time. But it was someone's here. That's how
I always pictured her saying it kind of to Murphy. Like in my head, she wakes, she hears something, she gets up out of bed. There's even a picture of her bed, where you could see, it looks like someone got out of bed. And then maybe she was locking Murphy into the bedroom. And as she's doing that, in my mind, I was picturing her saying, there's someone here, as she's putting Murphy away in her bedroom and turning around to go towards Maddie's room. And that's why Dylan could kind of hear her, because she was in the hallway part instead of in her actual bedroom saying there's someone here. You know how you if you're going to lock your dog in a bedroom, you put him in the bedroom and then you shut the door in front of you. That's how I pictured it. And that's how she was heard saying that.
That does make more sense. And I agree with Lisa. Whoever did this had to have been there before and knew the layout. I know some people have argued the Zillow thing, but this is not your typical house.
Yeah, that one step in front of Dylan's room gets me. I would trip. If I lived there, I would trip over that every time. I'm also very clumsy, but still, it's just it's like a 5-inch step down.
And it's not like they're the cast of Friends. It's not like they were really in each other's circles. So Brian could have been there hanging out with, let's say, Bethany, as an example. Kaylee and everybody else wouldn't have been really in their business because they all kind of ran in different circles.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that that's why they wanted to talk to Bethany, because I thought maybe she's the only one, because Dylan technically, is an eyewitness. She's the only one that can or can't say that, Brian was in that house at any point in time, because it's on, body cam where the cops have gone up there and they're like, no one's here that lives here. So, I thought that's why they were kind of going hard on Bethany, maybe to give them some sort of exculpatory evidence to where, she was saying, well, I can't tell you if Brian was here or not.
And that
maybe he was there with one of the roommates.
And the conspiracy part of my brain still thinks that Brian was or whoever did this was making those phone calls, because you have what's considered Greek row. That one reporter, he was just trying to be extra cool, and he said, the frats are always bumping here. Okay, so there's always noise going on. But the noise...
Yeah, there is.
We're all only called to that house.
Mm-hmm.
Not the bumping frats and sororities. We damn sure know they wouldn't be calling on Jeremy. He lived across the street.
Yeah.
Now, back by popular demand, we're going to revisit Jeremy. All right. Jeremy goes out to get the mail one day and is hit up by reporters. Well, from there were Reddit rooms basically saying Jeremy did it. He was begging them.
Jeremy, come get my DNA.
Good old DNA Jeremy. He wouldn't stop until they got his DNA. Now he has
I like
graduated.
that about him, though.
I did too. And I invited him to be on the show several times. He graduated in May. I believe he has passed the bar exam. He's on his way in life. Good for you, Jeremy. But
I have an interview with him. He did a new interview the other day. I put it on my last Idaho video with the vigil, but he did a new interview. He looks good. He looks nice. He looks like, I don't know, he looks different. He looks like a little more refreshed. Like maybe, he had to get out of that limelight.
Well, he's got all those new friends on Reddit. He made his own room. I think it's about lacrosse. And even the people that were calling him the murderer joined his group. He's like, that's okay. That's okay.
Come on over.
And I mean, just the look on Beige before the interview even starts tells you that she's thinking, this is 10 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back. What the hell is going on?
They actually didn't reach out to me. I just decided it's easier for me just to be proactive. And
okay, right there when I heard that, I was like, Jeremy's my dude. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, the police haven't reached out to me, but I thought I'd be proactive because the internet was accusing him.
I would have done the same thing. I would have done the same thing. Come get my DNA, get this crap out of my life. I'm ready to, move forward. Because like he's not involved. It's not like he has a direct connection. He was, graduating college. He's probably looking forward to whatever life's going to, give him. And then all of a sudden he's thrown into the internet. So that was, come get my DNA.
Come get it. And he wasn't going to stop till they did. And I'm not going to stop until I thank our wonderful friend Joy for gifting 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Making it rain. All right. So DNA Jeremy wasn't going to stop. He's like, I'm going to be proactive, but he was being harassed to hell and back. There's a couple of creators that, they owe him an apology. This isn't one, not me, because I didn't think he had anything to do with it.
so yesterday, I went to the police station. I walked in. I said, here's my name. I'm Jeremy Reagan. Yesterday, I was talked to by the police. The 2 officers that had interviewed me weren't there, but a different officer was like, all right, give me just a second. So he went, grabbed one of the mouth swabs, came, took me into one of the rooms there, did a mouth swab and said, all right, you're good to go. And so, I just went in. They never contacted me. I just figured it's easier to just try and be proactive and just get it all out of the way sooner rather than later.
Look, dude, they probably brought out just a regular earwax cleaning Q-tip and said, all right, you're good to go, threw it in the trash and went back to their work. Okay.
Yeah, it's too expensive to be sending in all the DNA samples. I do remember thinking, though, in the beginning that I thought maybe it could be a neighbor because of the way the house was positioned. You could see through it. Like you just stand somewhere and see it. But I thought that the person, whoever the neighbor would be, would have been like married and had a girlfriend. That's why they wouldn't have seemed like maybe threatening. And I thought maybe one of them just giving them the pen pad number one night, like solemn, hey, you want to come party? Here's our number to our house, like 2476. That's what it is. Like, that's the code. But I never thought it was our dude Jeremy here.
No.
So you did the gumshoe work. You actually just went there. You didn't wait for them to come back. You went.
You did the gumshoe work. How is she keeping a straight face? Okay. I love the chandelier earrings. But anyway, she's like, so you did the gumshoe work. No, he stayed on their ass until they swabbed his ass. That's it.
Down there. What was it like when you went in? You just gave me a cursory description of what working with that police department was like, but did it seem like it was a den of activity? Was it busy? Did they seem confused as to who you were? Were they happy to see you? Did they give you any information for a follow-up? Did they say they wanted to interview you at all? Like what was your interaction like?
So when I walked in, it was just a couple of people behind that front desk there. And then the people that were there didn't know me or recognize me because I hadn't seen them before either. They also didn't seem to really know my name. So I don't know if they were specifically dealing with the case or not.
Jeremy didn't recognize the people behind the desk as if he frequents the police department, and they didn't recognize him. How dare they?
I know. I'm laughing so hard when he said that.
Damn it, Jeremy.
He's a local celebrity. They didn't know him?
Don't they know you were accosted at the mailbox by Enton? Oh my gosh. They didn't seem to know me. They don't give a shit. There's a difference.
And they're not gonna be busy inside the police station if they're at the scene.
They're investigating a quadruple murder. Q-tip boy, they weren't looking for you. You were not hiding.
But yeah, it was just, I walked in, I said, here's my name. They said, all right, cool. And I couldn't remember the name of the officers that had come to interview me, because that's the first thing they had asked is who were the officers that did it. And I was like, I don't know, but I have the phone number if that'll help you know who it was. But yeah, it wasn't busy in there at the time. I think at that point, officers were both out and about through town, but also getting ready to go to the vigil and just make sure everything there was fine. Because when I went to the police station itself, there were just those three people, like I said, behind the front desk. I don't know if anyone else was in the back. I obviously didn't get to go back there. But yeah, when I walked in, it was just those three people out in the lobby area.
Right. It could have been very busy. It's not uncommon to really fan out in the crowd when there's a vigil in a high-profile crime like that, because killers do like to go back. They do.
Smartest thing she said all through this case, because I 100% believe at that vigil, the picture that was put up is of Brian. Whether oh yeah, whether he
with
is
the blue coat.
Yep, whether he is responsible for this horrific tragedy or not anyone else looks like Brian. Okay,
that is true.
There's
a picture that I found, and it was when everybody, they say, it says like, it's a picture. It says like the tag is like, kids at the Idaho campus in like the student center, just trying to like deal with grief or something like that. And I have to find that picture, but oh my gosh, I have pretty good vision in one eye, and it looks like Brian Koberger. It looks like he's sitting at one of the tables. And I'm like, is that him? Like, I don't know if blue jacket guy from the vigil, this guy, but they all three look very similar if they're not the same person.
Let me see if I can find the picture. Hold on.
I wonder what. It would take me a while to probably dig up that one. It was like a new one. It was like, or when the investigation first started. And I ended up going back to it because I asked my people in my live, I said, do you guys think this is Brian Koberger? I'm like, or am I, just losing it at this point?
Okay, here it is. I just found it. To me, that looks just like him. And also, he's not with a group of people. He was just there by himself.
Yeah.
We also know that Brian was outside of the house after 9 o'clock that next morning. Now, it couldn't be because he just wondered what was going on there, because 911 hadn't been called yet. So why was he outside of that house?
I thought he maybe was over there to see if there was any activity going on that he could watch. And then once he got over there, he realized like they hadn't even, he's probably was like, what the hell's going on? No one's called the police. Or he went back for that knife sheath.
Well, and some people have said they believe he was dropping off one of the girls.
I've heard that too.
But we don't know. To me, it looks like him. I mean, it would be one thing if it was all over the news and he just shows up out of curiosity, but 911 had not been called. We know that for a fact. Yeah. But at least Jeremy did. I mean, they due diligence.
They do say that, like, they often go to the funerals or, things of that nature. If I were the person that did this, I probably wouldn't be ballsy enough to go to a funeral, but maybe a vigil, because there's a lot more people at a vigil. To where, you would feel more hidden.
Oh, for sure.
Because like all the students are there,
Well, yeah, because then, you can hide in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
a funeral, you assume everybody knows everybody or has an idea who they are. Even with, something like this.
Mix in, and we're going to actually do some coverage on that in just a few moments of what exactly they would be looking for and what they might actually see. But what do you expect? I mean, first of all, I'm just sort of surprised that the officers that you originally spoke with didn't give you a business card or any kind of, identification that you should get back to them with any details that you might hear. Even if you could help and be a witness, you had no way of contacting them. But what do you expect to happen next, Jeremy? Or are you sort of as much in the dark as I feel like I am?
So I'm just as in the dark as you. I assume they'll send my things up or my DNA up to the lab. It'll come back with the results in however long it takes. But it's not like the officers just came in and interviewed me and left. I did have one of the officers' phone numbers so that if I did find anything or hear anything, I would have the officers' phone numbers so that if I did. So I'm just as in the dark as you. I assume they'll send my things up or my DNA up to the.
Okay, I doubt your DNA made it to the lab, Jeremy, but you get an E for it. Okay, this picture alone, I'm switching gears again. Some people have said this is rust. Now,
no, not a chance.
This looks like fresh blood to me. So again, it makes me wonder how you could, for one, why is there no footprints? And two,
and also, that video or that body cam from August with Kaylee in it. You can clearly see that wall, and there's nothing on it. So I don't think that it would rust from August to November like that.
No, that is definitely blood. I go back to the obvious. Somebody would have to get up to pee. The person on the second floor, they had a shared bathroom. So at some point in those 8 hours, unless you have a big old get and go cup in your room and you're using it and throwing it out the window, at some point, you're going to have to get up to go to the bathroom. Okay? Yeah. Now, I'm a real lazy bitch. I get really comfortable in bed and I try to sweat through the pain of having to pee. And I'm like, because if I get up, then I'm up.
Me too. I'm the same exact way. If I'm up, I do the same thing.
So
but I don't think that I wouldn't have been able to go 8 hours. I know that after drinking, even not even drinking, like just 8 hours in general is a long time to go, But the only thing I could think of is if they turned that hallway light out and she maybe just went into the restroom, like snuck in there, didn't really turn on the light to the restroom. It would have to be like a lot of things though. It doesn't seem like that would be the what would have happened.
And if we're thinking it, they had to have been asked, did you not get up to go to the bathroom, Dylan? Everybody pees. Nicey Marie said that's blood. The pattern of going down. Rust will not have that pattern. Thank you, Nicey Marie.
Also, I don't remember his name, but he's with Judy Ron a lot. He does like crime scene stuff. But he's on his show a lot.
Yeah,
he's think of his name. He does like crime scene stuff, and he's retired, and he went through and explained like how it would look like if it was rust, and how those pipes don't even rust because they're like certain type of something. Like it doesn't rust like where it drips down. But I remember watching that in the beginning of the Idaho case, and it was really educational.
Well, and I want to get a hold of, it's Ed Wallace. Thank you, Blue Petunias.
Ed Wallace. Thank you.
He's good. And Police Off the Cuff, they've done a great job. I want to get a hold of Johnny Law because
where's he been? I was just going to say that.
Because the way he broke down the house and basing it off of what we know, how they're saying he got in and got out, he explained it perfectly. Because I want to go
so good
through that and the Linda Lane stuff because we don't have all day. You got to break this stuff down.
Yeah, you do. I like Johnny Law though. I haven't seen him on the platform in a while.
No, it seems like he did his thing and off to real life.
The lab, it'll come back with the results in however long it takes. But it's not like the officers just came in and interviewed me and left. I did have one of the officers' phone numbers so that if I did find anything or hear anything, I was able to call him. So it's not like they
Mm.
just totally left me in the dark with that. I did have a phone number that I could reach, but I didn't
that's
have
good.
anything with like their name on it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, usually you
She's thinking about what she's going to have at break time, if she's going to have pretzels or garden chips. Anyway, she's like, okay, that's good. That's good. She's like, all right, that's good. She's already sized it up. She's like, they didn't need you. They didn't need you. They didn't even give you a business card. They called you. You probably called them because people
Yeah.
were using you online. I can figure it out. But at Banfield, she has just about had it with this interview, but I can't get enough of it.
would think there's a business card, but maybe it's not the day of the business card anymore. The really important thing is that you've been pilloried on the internet. Chat groups have just had a field day, freely throwing your name and making these just phenomenal accusations. Do you think this act that you have now carried through with, which is supplying your DNA, voluntarily going to the police department, do you think that it's actually going to put an end to what's happened online, to the accusations and to the speculation, to the feeding frenzy?
I think it'll definitely help with most of it. There's always going to be a small contingent that even if the killer is found, they're still going to think it's the wrong guy. It was me instead. But I think the overwhelming majority of it will stop, which probably just means they'll go find someone else. I don't know what their plan is. People just like to do this for fun. But yeah, I think mostly it'll stop with me. And so I hope at least.
Yeah. Well, listen, keep us posted, Jeremy. I appreciate you coming back to talk to us about this. And thanks for going in to volunteer your DNA too.
Yeah. Can I mention one more thing really quick?
Yeah.
She's like, F no. Can I mention one more thing real quick? She goes,
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I got Cheez-Its waiting for me in the break room. Go ahead.
So this is actually, until this case is wrapped up, this is going to be my last interview, because I feel like a lot of this has become centered about me and what's happened with me. And it shouldn't be. It should be focused on Xana, Ethan, Madison, and Kaylee. And so I'm just going to sort of stay out of the public eye. I'll still be available to reach through the various social medias that people have been reaching me to answer questions. But in terms of interviews, this will be my last one until the case is resolved.
Thank you for watching.
And she didn't even say it ain't so. She just cut him off right there.
Yeah, she didn't say, well, we have to come back and see me and talk to me again.
It wasn't like
little name in them.
But we needed you, Jeremy. We wanted to talk to you more. She's just like, thanks for joining us.
He was good at pronouncing everyone's names, because in the beginning it was really hard, because as a creator, it was hard for me. There's 4 victims, and they their names are a little bit different, some of the last names, but he really read them off like really well. Poor Jeremy. Wonder how he's doing. I forget how he said he was doing in that interview. I don't know why I can't think of it now, but I'll have to post it because it was a good one.
Yeah, email it to me. Yeah, because it didn't look like you broke her heart too much that he said, "This is my last interview. I'm done. Call me Clooney. I'm out." Let's take a second to remember the victims, because DNA Jeremy is right. They are what is important. And there they are. Lives.
You could tell they were loved.
Absolutely. Getting, college educations. I think about what Ethan's mama said. when they dropped off the kids at school, they were like, we've done it. We got them through high school. We got them through those awkward years of middle school. And now here they are. They're at the university, and then they get the call.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I couldn't even imagine. That family is incredibly strong. They all are strong, but there's just something about that. The Chapins, they are, you know, they don't want to be in the limelight, or they just want to move on with their kids, that, you know, the 2 kids that they do have still. And it's amazing, you know, what they can do. I think all the families are amazing in their own way, you know, like Maddie's dad, he did an interview. I don't know if you got to see that one. I cried through like the whole interview, but he's just talking about his daughter. And every time he says her name, he just lights up. Like he smiles, his eyes light up. And, you know, then you got the Gonzalez family. They're at the forefront. They're like, this is, you know, they're very like in the investigation. And then, you know, Jeff and Xana's mom, Kara, they've kind of stayed back a little bit too.
Well, Kara, for obvious reasons, and she should have never been put on News Nation. She was a mess.
Yeah.
They should have just had her on the phone, not living out of her car. That was totally disrespectful, not just to Kara, but to Xana, because nobody was talking about what she said. They were talking about her obvious physical health and what was obviously going on.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, the Chapin family, they've caught a little bit of heat because they said they're not going to go to the court hearings. They trust law enforcement. And they want to focus on the positive. They're doing the tulips. She wrote a children's book. Her tattoo, which is basically Ethan's handwriting, "I love you, Mom," broke my heart. And
that's the same tattoo I wanted to get for my mom and dad. And I'm like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah. Very sweet.
Very sweet. Nani said Kara was definitely exploited by News Nation. Yep. Uh-huh. And, you know, I understand that Dirty Laundry sells soap detergent.
Yeah.
That was uncalled for.
Very, very much so.
But I want to thank our friend Titanium Built. I love when she comes on the channel. Everybody, let's give a big round of applause to our friend Titanium Built. I know that her channel has been shared in here many times. Sub up. I am so glad we got to get through all this, even touch on DNA, Jeremy, because it's very important to see where we've come in a year and just how crazy things can get. And, you know, try to bring it back to the center and just wait on law enforcement, which I hate doing that. And I hate saying that, waiting on them to tell us what really went down. Because if it doesn't make sense to us, it's not going to make sense to a jury. And I have never, ever envied a district attorney. It's one thing to have a conversation with your friend at lunch and try to convince one person of something. 12?
Yeah. I agree. Yes, I agree. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime, girlfriend. Love having you here. Love your channel. Sub up, everybody. Shannon just said, I subbed up. I subbed up. Angel subbed up. Sonia subbed up.
Thank you.
And yeah, we need all the support we can get because it's getting crazy out here in YouTube land. They're getting strict.
Oh my Lord.
They're getting strict on stuff that I just scratch my head like, what are you doing? And then you see some of this other stuff and it's like, how did you miss that? But that's for we'll talk about that on a members live someday. Gina, thank you for the super sticker, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Connie subbed, Raven subbed, and always make sure you're subbed to me. To Mawa. Let me tell you why. I've had several people come in over the last few weeks and they're like, I thought I was subbed to you and I'm not. So I don't know what YouTube's doing, but they're a real on my side.
Me too. Well, I'm going to hop down, but thank you so much for having me on. And thank you, chat, for being an amazing chat. I appreciate it.
They are.
I will see you soon.
Yes, you will, girlfriend. Reach out.
Thank you for having me up.
I just adore her and I just love her channel. And her chat is a lot like ours. you know, different opinions, different ideas, and everybody is just cool as a cucumber. And I don't mean a cucumber like the way Candace Wells uses a cucumber, but I didn't mean to put that image in your head. But thank you so much for being here. I think it was very important to go back over the last year and where we're at now and see what's going to come out going forward, because whatever the motive, whatever the circumstances, it was totally uncalled for. Totally uncalled for. These 4 beautiful people should be out living their lives. They should be graduating college, getting to work, you name it. All right, guys, if I don't see you today in Discord, one of the Facebook groups, I will see you back here at 9 a.m. As always, thank you to the Mod Squad, and thank you to all of you. You know what I'm going to say. I say it every day, and I mean it every day, for being the best chat and best community on YouTube. Love you bunches. Bye-bye.